Hey, Cowboys Nation! Today we need to dig deep into the state of the Dallas Cowboys and the storm surrounding their defensive struggles this season. There's been frustration, confusion, and a lot of questions swirling among fans. And one topic has dominated conversations: the future of the defensive coordinator. When you examine the performance of this unit week after week, it becomes painfully obvious that changes are necessary. This isn't about overreacting or sensationalizing the situation. It's about confronting reality head-on. The defense has consistently failed to protect the team, allowing far too many points, leaving key matchups exposed, and creating moments that have directly contributed to losses. It's not speculation, it's reflected in the results on the field and the numbers behind them. Every metric, from points allowed to efficiency on third downs, paints the same bleak picture. The defensive struggles are not subtle, and for a team with championship aspiration, such deficiencies are unacceptable. The Cowboys organization has been clear that adjustments to the coaching staff are under consideration, with a particular focus on leadership for the defense. The process is described as methodical and careful, yet for fans watching week after week, it seems like action could be taken immediately. The defensive woes have been apparent from the start of the season. And while evaluating players, reviewing schemes, and analyzing strategy is always part of the process, sometimes the answer is right in front of you. Giving up over 30 points per game, consistently failing to make crucial stops, and allowing opponents to dominate in critical situations cannot be excused by luck or minor oversights. It points to systemic issues. And at the center of it all is leadership. The defensive coordinator is responsible for crafting game plans, adjusting schemes, and instilling accountability. When those responsibilities are not met, it has a cascading effect across the entire roster, leaving players and coaches scrambling to compensate for fundamental breakdowns beyond the statistics. There's a growing impatience among fans with the pace at which the front office is approaching this issue. The suggested timeline for interviews and evaluations, often stretching 10 to 12 days, feels unnecessarily long. The problems on the field are glaring, and the path forward is clear. Yet the process seems to linger. Other teams in the league react differently when leadership fails to produce results. Adjustments are made swiftly, ensuring that the team doesn't continue down a path of mediocrity. This isn't about rushing a decision, it's about aligning action with the reality on the field. The Cowboys risk sending the wrong signal by allowing deliberation to stretch unnecessarily, suggesting that optics or procedure might be prioritized over accountability. Fans are watching closely, and the desire for clear, decisive moves grows louder with each game where the defense falls short. If we dive into the performance details, the numbers tell a story that is hard to ignore. Opponents have been able to move the ball with ease, exploit mismatches, and score in ways that should have been prevented. Metrics like red zone efficiency, third down stops, and expected points per play all point toward one inescapable conclusion: the defensive coordinator has not delivered. Leadership at this level is not just about calling plays. It's about preparing players, adjusting in real time, and enforcing accountability when those elements fail. The blame cannot fall solely on players. Fans, analysts, and commentators alike have all noticed the deficiencies, and the continued lack of response threatens confidence, not just in the coaching staff, but across the entire team. Maintaining the current coordinator after a season like this would not just be a questionable decision, it could actively undermine morale and trust in leadership at every level. The challenge lies in balancing evaluation with action. Organizations must listen to players, gather feedback, and conduct thorough assessments. That is all part of building a successful program. Yet, when the evidence is clear and results are catastrophic, prolonging the decision-making process can be more harmful than helpful. Leadership in professional sports requires both prudence and decisiveness, and this is a situation that demands swift action. Every game this season has highlighted the defensive flaws, and each loss has underscored the urgent need for accountability. Fans are not asking for a rushed judgment. They are demanding a response that reflects the severity of the failures on the field. Every missed tackle, blown coverage, and big play surrendered points to systemic issues that will not correct themselves without intervention at the top. Coaching decisions extend beyond just the defensive coordinator. They impact personnel choices, previous hiring decisions, and the broader identity of the team. While player mistakes and roster limitations play a role, leadership is the central factor in correcting course. The defensive breakdowns this season reflect preparation, strategic design, and in-game adjustments or the lack thereof. The organization must ask itself hard questions. Will it embrace the need for decisive change? Or will it let process and hesitation dominate? Public statements and careful phrasing suggest the front office wants to maintain control. But there is a line between due diligence and indecision. Fans are demanding clarity, and the defense has given no reason to delay. The longer this lingers, the more the perception of inaction grows, eroding trust from the fan base and sending mixed signals to the players themselves. There is also a psychological dimension to this situation. Football is as much about confidence, trust, and cohesion as it is about physical execution. When a defensive unit underperforms, morale suffers, and players begin to question strategies and leadership. A change at the coordinator level could provide immediate benefits not only in strategy and scheme, but in energy and motivation. Fresh perspectives, renewed focus on fundamentals, and clear lines of accountability can reinvigorate a group that has struggled. Conversely, hesitation and prolonged decision-making risk reinforcing a culture of mediocrity, where failures are tolerated and systemic issues persist unchecked. Fans, analysts, and insiders alike recognize the potential for improvement if bold action is taken now. It is a pivotal moment where leadership must rise to the challenge. Every signal points to a single reality. The Cowboys cannot continue with the defensive status quo. The evidence is overwhelming. From traditional statistics to advanced metrics, and the urgency is undeniable. Leadership, particularly at the coordinator level, is the linchpin for reversing these trends. A team with championship ambitions cannot accept historically poor defensive performance. Timelines, interviews, and evaluations are important, but they cannot overshadow the critical fact that action must be taken. Players need clarity, fans expect accountability, and the credibility of the organization depends on decisive moves. Without change, the ripple effects will continue to impact the offense, special teams, and overall team identity. Quarterbacks face more pressure, running backs carry heavier loads, and special teams find themselves in situations they should not be in. All consequences of a struggling defense. Football is a team sport, but it is also a game where leadership shapes every detail. And when that fails, deficiencies are amplified. The spotlight now is on how aggressively the Cowboys will respond to these issues. There is speculation around potential replacements and names that fans hope to see, but the essential truth remains: hesitation risks worsening the problem. Every day without clarity amplifies frustration among supporters who have invested time, energy, and emotion into this team. The offseason will be shaped by the clarity of leadership decisions. Coordinators impact free agent targets, draft strategy, and the alignment of the roster for the coming season. Waiting too long diminishes the ability to execute these plans effectively. The defensive coordinator is not just a position on the sideline. They are a pivotal piece of long-term strategy. Choosing the right leader now is essential for immediate improvement and building sustainable competitiveness. Fans want to see a proactive approach, and timing is crucial. Delays compromise not only results, but also the framework necessary for consistent success in the future. As we move further into the analysis of the Cowboys' defensive situation, it's important to recognize how far-reaching the consequences of indecision can be. Every player on the field feels the effects of inadequate leadership. Linebackers hesitate in key moments because signals are unclear, defensive backs miscommunicate, and the defensive line struggles to generate pressure because schemes are inconsistent. These breakdowns are not isolated, they compound with every game, creating a culture of uncertainty. Confidence in football is fragile, and when it is eroded by repeated failures, the results extend beyond the scoreboard. Young players, in particular, rely on clear guidance from coaches to develop properly. Without it, potential goes unrealized, and mistakes become ingrained habits rather than teachable moments. The influence of a coordinator reaches far beyond play calling. It shapes attitude, preparation, and discipline. The organizational approach to this crisis will define more than just one season. It sets a tone for the franchise's philosophy moving forward. Fans have watched a defense that allows opponents to exploit weaknesses repeatedly, and the reaction from leadership communicates the values the team prioritizes. Will the Cowboys demonstrate a zero-tolerance approach to underperformance, or will they allow mediocrity to linger under the guise of process? The difference is significant. Immediate and decisive action sends a message of accountability, resilience, and commitment to excellence. Delays, on the other hand, can create skepticism not only among supporters, but also within the locker room. Players notice how their coaches are evaluated and replaced or not, and this influences their belief in the system. Morale, focus, and effort are all tied to the perception of leadership effectiveness. A clear commitment to improvement can energize a team, while prolonged hesitation risks fostering doubt and stagnation. Examining the implications for upcoming roster decisions, the defensive coordinator's role cannot be overstated. The right leader shapes the defensive identity, which in turn influences draft priorities, free agent acquisitions, and position coaching strategies. Timing is critical, the offseason is short, and opportunities to align personnel with the team's defensive philosophy cannot be delayed. Every decision left hanging compresses the window for effective planning, potentially limiting the team's ability to address the glaring deficiencies exposed this season. For a franchise with championship aspiration, there is no room for misalignment between leadership, strategy, and player acquisition. The clock is ticking, and the ability to construct a coherent, competitive defense hinges on clarity at the top of the coaching staff. From a strategic standpoint, the need for adjustment extends to every layer of defensive preparation. Game plans must account for opponent tendencies, player strengths, and in-game adjustments. When the coordinator fails to execute in these areas, the consequences are immediate. Opposing offenses capitalize, momentum shifts, and games are lost in critical moments. The inability to correct course in real time has left the Cowboys vulnerable week after week. Players are left improvising, which only compounds mistakes. A leadership change at this level is not just cosmetic, it can revitalize communication, instill discipline, and ensure that every player understands their role within a cohesive system. New leadership can create a sense of urgency and focus that the team has lacked, reminding players that accountability is not optional but mandatory. The cultural aspect cannot be overlooked. Leadership at the coordinator level sets standards, models behavior, and enforces accountability. When those standards are absent, lapses become normalized. Fans have watched games where simple mistakes snowballed into catastrophic outcomes, not because of player talent, but because of preparation, scheme design, and decision-making at the top. A new coordinator brings fresh perspective, renewed attention to fundamentals, and the potential to rebuild trust across the defensive unit. Trust is essential in football. Players must believe that their coaches are capable of guiding them through adversity and maximizing their abilities. When that trust is missing, effort, execution, and cohesion all suffer. The right leadership can reverse these dynamics, restoring confidence and creating an environment where accountability drives performance. Before we roll on, subscribe to Cowboys Wire News. Drop a like and turn on the bell. Your support keeps the Dallas Cowboys updates coming. Tell us what you think in the comments. Whispers are growing loud around the Dallas Cowboys organization after reports surfaced of an internal shakeup that has left the building tense and unsettled. According to sources close to the team, an assistant coach was quietly dismissed following what is being described internally as a serious breach of trust, while official statements remain vague. The situation has ignited speculation across league circles, especially due to the reported reaction from owner Jerry Jones. Those familiar with the Cowboys' inner workings suggest the issue had been simmering behind closed doors for some time. What initially appeared to be a routine disagreement allegedly escalated into a full-blown internal scandal, forcing upper management to act swiftly. The decision to part ways with the assistant coach is being portrayed as a damage control move, rather than a standard football-related dismissal. Jerry Jones, never one to hide his emotions, is rumored to be furious about how the situation unfolded. Insiders claim the longtime owner felt blindsided, believing that internal discipline and loyalty were compromised. There is talk that Jones viewed the incident not just as a personal disappointment, but as a threat to the organizational culture he has tried to protect for decades. His frustration, according to speculation, may extend beyond the individual involved and toward broader accountability within the coaching staff. Round the league, executives are watching closely. Some believe this could be the first domino in a larger internal reset, while others see it as an isolated incident being magnified by the Cowboys' constant presence in the spotlight. Players, meanwhile, are said to be keeping their heads down, unsure how much of the behind-the-scenes tension will spill into the locker room. For now, the Cowboys remain publicly focused on football, but privately, questions linger. Was this dismissal truly about a single incident? Or does it reveal deeper cracks within the organization? Until more details emerge, the rumor mill will continue to churn, and in Dallas, silence often speaks louder than words. That's a wrap from Cowboys Wire News. For breaking Cowboys updates, subscribe, drop a like, and turn on the bell. Tell us your take in the comments.